months ago when I released this video as a part of my soloing over chord changes series, several of you guys commented that it would be useful if I made a similar video for different sets of triads or for different hand positions. So I decided to just turn this thing into a little series where I'll go through all 5 of the hand positions, talk about the cage shape that dominates that hand position, and the pentatonic and the major scale patterns that relate to it, and then we'll identify the sets of triads that fit inside that hand position to fill out the rest of the key signature. So in the last video, we looked at this 1-5-6-4 progression in the key of C. We're gonna look at the same progression today. So last time we started here with this C major triad as our 1 chord, and then we moved upward, finding our 4 chord, our 5 chord. I think we played the 6 chord here and here. And this became a whole set of triads where you could express the entire key signature in this hand position. Now, I think of this as the G-shape hand position from Caged. You have a C major chord in the shape of G, and then you have a pentatonic pattern that corresponds to that hand position, which is the most common one. So today we're going to look at the same chord progression. We're going to start with the same chord as our 1 chord, but we're going to move down the neck through these 2 other hand positions. So this is the A-shape hand position. So we're looking at a C major chord in the shape of A, and then we're going to go down to the C-shape hand position and have a standard C major chord in its traditional shape. In the first section, we're going to take that little introduction lick that you just saw. We're going to strip it down and look at just the triads that it's based on. And then in the second section, we'll add the fills back in, and we'll talk about how the pentatonic and the major scale patterns fit with those triads to make the whole picture come together. So let's just look real quick at the 5 different triads that this lick was built off of. We start right here, C major triad on the 1. We move to a G major triad here, which you can see is just part of this G major chord, but we're only expressing these 3 notes of it. So we move down to an A minor chord, except I used the top 3 notes of the A minor chord moving up 1 string for my triad. So I want to get across this point that triads are really just parts of a chord. And when you understand all the caged shapes, you really know all of your triads. You just have to see in your head how to split them apart. So this is an A minor chord, and we're just using the top 3 strings, which creates a full triad. And then for the 4 chord, I kind of moved between 2 different triads within that F chord shape. So this triad and this triad. And then resolving back to the 1 chord, I went down and just used this piece of the standard C major chord. So in my head, those were the triad shapes that I was building this lick off of. And then in order to move between the shapes, I kind of used the pentatonic scale and the major scale shapes that correspond with those hand positions to make some little licks that moved fluidly between the different chord changes. So for the A-shape hand position, the pentatonic shapes that goes with that is this one. So for the lick there, I decided to accentuate the 3rd of the 1 chord. That always makes it feel like there's a lot of harmony when you pull the 3rd out. And then I just played around with the pentatonic scale a little bit. And then hit that note, the 7th, which is the 3rd of the next chord, the 3rd of the 5 chord. So you have the pentatonic shape, and then we also have the major scale shape that fits in there. So there's 5 notes in the pentatonic scale, obviously pentatonic, and then there's 7 in the major scale. So the 2 that are missing are the 7 and the 4. So if you take the pentatonic shape, and then you add in the other two notes, 4, 7, then you get a major scale shape. So I just kind of walked down the pentatonic and then kind of stepped into the major scale in order to accentuate that note from the 5 chord, which is once again the third of the chord. And then I think I just pulled the top 2 notes out of that triad before sliding down to the next triad. And once again, using the pentatonic scale to create a little lick around that triad. But now we're down in the C shape hand position. So the pentatonic pattern that fits in that hand position is this one. So I created this little lick with the pentatonic scale and then jumped down here so that I could walk up to the 1 of the next chord. And then I really just picked through the triads on the 4 chord, just this triad and this triad. And then just pull off to one of the notes of the C chord so that I can move down to that resolution, getting back to the 1 chord again. Now just to wrap it up, if we wanted to explore a little bit more of the triads in this hand position, we could find the rest of the chords in the key signature. So let's just go through them really quickly and see if we can find all of the chords in C major in these 2 hand positions. So if we have a 1 chord here, then we get a 2 chord, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. Now the 7 is a diminished triad. You just take that minor triad shape, lower the 5th degree, and you get the diminished shape. So 6, 7, I know that memorizing all of these triads can feel like a huge burden sometimes, and if you don't have a really good system to get through all of them, it can end up just taking years and being disorganized, and you can end up with big holes in your knowledge where you missed pieces. So if you want to see the system I designed for myself in order to memorize all the triads on the fretboard along with all of the names of all the notes, you can check out this video right up here. This system worked incredibly well for me, and from the feedback I'm getting, it seems to be working really well for other people. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.